This phenomenon is called geometric phase. Welcome everyone. This video will aim at trying to understand the adjective geometric to phases using some very simple demos. Before which we shall honor the old people who brought in these concepts. The first person who brought in to ever initially document such a discovery was S. Pancharatnam. He worked under C.V. Raman and observed these effects while trying to study interferent fringes by light waves through crystal plates. His discovery found the limelight though after 20 years. He noticed these properties in a purely classical setup. During the same period, Huygens in France noticed some of these properties in molecules. What Huygens observed was in a completely quantum setup. The person who unified all this and who brought in the first theoretical intervention in 1982 was Michael V. Berry. And his discoveries and his work in that paper led to the framework of something called the Berry phase, which is also the geometric phase in the quantum setup. The next slide will move on to this experiment with this cute little frog. Physicists and frogs have done quite some amount of research, and let us hope that our hypothetical experiment can make us understand some particular aspects of geometric phase. The frog will be moved along the red path. The method of movement will be such that the tongue of the frog is restricted to the surface of the sphere. Imagine the tongue to be a local tangent vector to this sphere. The frog shall take small hops along the path and readjust its tongue to be nearly parallel to the previous position of the tongue along the same path. We will now proceed to the demo. It's awfully silent. Let's play some music. The thing we just saw is the parallel transport of vectors on surfaces. So for the case of the sphere, one could see that the angle of deflection is alpha, as we have noted with the frog experiment. And similarly, if one were to move the frog on the equilateral triangle, it would have no angle of deflection. Most of this is governed by what is called the covariant derivative of V along gamma, which we set it to 0 to get our transformation properties for V. The key takeaways are as follows. We learned that along the closed path on a sphere, the initial and final vectors differ by an angle, and such a phase is purely geometric. And since it's only dependent on the path, it doesn't matter how fast we move the vectors. A more serious example would be the Foucault's pendulum, and Wikipedia, credits to Wikipedia for these very nice animations. One sees that if the Foucault pendulum is on the North Pole, and if the Earth moves because of the Coriolis effect, the plane of oscillation shifts. Similarly, one could model this using the idea of parallel transport. And instead of the Earth moving, we move the pendulum, keeping the Earth fixed. And we get a coupled differential equation in first order. And you can easily solve it to find the angle of deflection to be V sine theta, 2 pi sine theta naught. One sees that you can also obtain solution of Foucault's pendulum via Newton's laws, which was done way before historically. And one sees that it will be a very complicated second order differential equation. And we see how the geometrical properties of our surface simplify things. And we will eventually be promised to get the same answer. Now let me jump to how to get the quantum geometric phase. To understand the existence of the geometric phase, one should understand what is called the adiabatic theorem. And to do that, let us first plot the Hamiltonian as a function of time. Now, as we plot the Hamiltonian as a function of time, we want the Hamiltonian to be slowly varying. As you can see, the derivative of the derivative of h with respect to t is really small as we gradually vary it from 0 to capital T. One sees that at the 0 initial position, we could always start with the initial eigenkets defined at that time. And one sees it gradually evolves to the eigenstates of the Hamiltonian, which is defined at, say, the time t. So this is the property of the adiabatic theorem. Now, what if we decide to plot this a little more differently, and that our state Hamiltonian at say h of 0 takes the same value as it does for h of t. In that case, we would expect psi n of 0 to be the same as psi n of t. But we have now adiabatically transported this eigenvector. Now the question would be, what happens to these states? Or more in general, we are coming to understand what is known as Berry phase. So we do a small modification of the same problem, and we decide to take an R space, which is called the parameter space, on which we define our setup. Parameters, for example, could be the magnetic field or the electric field, and the Hamiltonian's variation with time is restricted to how the parameters vary with time. So similarly, we can rechange our definitions of all the initial eigenkets and the final eigenket, which has adiabatically evolved. And one can also see that we don't want these eigenkets to be multivalued, because if they're multivalued, then it violates, the Schrodinger's rules and the principles. So one decides that we fix R of t is R of 0 is equal to R of 0, and hence, if you want to really summarize it, which we will do, and we are interested in this phase factor which is developing, because in the end, what we know is that psi n of R of 0 is the same as psi n of R of t, and the only difference between them is this phase factor, phi of t. One can imagine that in the R space, in this case I have drawn the sphere, in the R space, the R vector is changing along a closed path, because at R of t, we meet back at R of 0, and one would like to study the properties. You can see the parallels we are drawing between, the classical setup here. So what does one expect from this phase? One expects that it can be composed of two things. One is the dynamical phase, which is obvious to us from the Schrodinger equation, which we solve for. But one is a very non-trivial phase, which we'll add as gamma n of t, whose form we do not know. But in the end, this is a valid solution of the Schrodinger equation. So let us plug it in and let us evaluate this quantity, and we find that gamma n dot has this expression. Now we can further integrate it, and with a lot of change of variables, we can always simplify it to this form given in the end in this red thing, and we see that the entire integral is over now the parameter space, and we can slowly give up on time if we close the loop, which is exactly what Berry phase is. The Berry phase is the loop. If you're going to find out the phi of t, the capital T at which we reach the same Hamiltonian after a cycle in R, we notice that this is nothing but a closed loop, and we are doing a line integral over a closed loop, which we have encountered, say, in our courses in electromagnetism, and we have nice rules like we can apply Stokes theorem and simplify these quantities. This is the celebrated Berry phase. Now, this quantity here will be of very much interest, and we will come to see what that quantity is soon. The Aharonov-Bohm effect is a quantum mechanical phenomena where an electrical particle is affected by the electromagnetic potential despite being confined to a region where the fields are zero. This demo will briefly show how one could ensure the particle does not experience any field. Consider the experiment is as follows. We consider an electron beam that gets split into two localized wave packets. They go through two Faraday cages and interfere at a particular point. The key catch of this experiment is that we have to ensure that the electron or the localized charge particle does not experience any E field. One ensures it as follows. As the particle splits, the wave function splits and moves into the different cages, at the initial point as it enters the cage, one can switch on a time-varying potential, which ensures the E outside is non-zero. But then just when we are going out, then when the particles are going out, we can switch off this potential and ensure that the E field outside is zero. The effect observes that there is an phase difference in the phase difference that is noticed, and that is called the Aharonov-Bohm phase. And one could repeat this in the classical, in the case where there is a solenoid in the center of the setup, where we can ensure that there is a B in the Z direction, or inside the solenoid the B is non-zero, and we can always ensure through some shieldings that B outside is zero, which makes the magnetic vector potential non-zero throughout this regime. Now, one turns out that we can always take a circular path, and we notice that we can always get the same phase instead of doing this entire setup. And we see that this circuit which we are drawing invariably is leading us somewhere close to what we discussed well in berry phase. And that quantity is the same as follows. When the path is closed, we can always calculate the Aharonov base phase to be psi naught e to the IE h cross and the closed line integral A dot dx, which turns out to just be the magnetic flux. Now, this is the magnetic flux, and one can make this association. And the association is that we can link this magnetic vector potential to this complicated operator that we had used. And this operator is also called the Berry potential or Berry connection. And in a special case, it turns out to just be the magnetic vector potential. And the parameter space is just the usual R space. Thank you for watching. I would like to thank Dr. Gautam Sheet for giving us this opportunity to present our term papers. Major thanks to Keynote and Apple iMovies to make this presentation into a video. Last but not the least, I would like to thank my parents, uncle, and brother, and friends for all the moral and financial support during these troubling times. If one is interested, one could always contact me for any details with regard to this presentation or even with regard to access to the term paper. Thank you.